This changes everything for the Boston Bruins, as two of the Boston Bruins' top trade targets are now in reports or either already traded at this point, and things seem to be getting worse for the Boston Bruins as the days go on. I'm going to be talking about the move of JT Miller here and a rumor of Elias Pettersson in this video. Before we get into it, though, we know 70% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. We're on the road to 6K with the ultimate goal, as you know, of beating the Boston Bruins in subscribers on YouTube. Very, very difficult challenge, but I know that we can do it. The Boston Bruins have been struggling lately, but we got to cover the news regardless. And like I said, I appreciate all of your guys' support. So hit the sub button if you want all of your Boston Bruins news right here. Without any further ado, let's get into a familiar screenshot, as you've seen in yesterday's video, talking about Yanni Gourde. About an hour after that, JT Miller was ultimately traded. And it says, according to the fourth period, the Bruins are linked to JT Miller, Elias Pettersson of the Canucks, Brock Nelson of the Islanders, and Yanni Gourde of the Kraken. This is an interesting list of names to link to the Boston Bruins, but all four should be a hard pass for the black and gold. Now, this comes from the fourth period as well, David Pastrnak's fourth period. Not sure if this exact article is David Pastrnak, but from the fourth period, regardless. And I've mentioned Brock Nelson here on the channel before. Yesterday's video is, of course, on Yanni Gourde. And when we're looking at Yanni Gourde now, the out 5 to 7 weeks really don't make sense. Brock Nelson, do the Bruins really want him? Is he going to help? No. But when we look at JT Miller and Elias Pettersson, two of the very interesting ones listed on the Boston Bruins report, and ultimately now, it's down to one, as JT Miller was traded last night in a very interesting deal to the New York Rangers, and one it seems like the Vancouver Canucks really lost, and let's be honest with that. I'm quite surprised that they didn't get more for JT Miller, but of course, that means that one of the Boston Bruins' top targets is off the list. Now, I've discussed here previously that the Bruins will be looking, of course, for a certain type of trade, whether they're buying, whether they're selling, and they really need to make up their mind quick, as now the trades are starting to really zoom in. And we see one big trade happen, and then it just becomes a staircase. People are trading left, right, and center well before the deadline, and now soon enough we'll see all the top targets gone. So if the Bruins want to compete, they're going to have to make a trade, and it's really getting down to the time of it. But when we're looking at this Bruins team, when we're looking at the recent games, there's no way this team is making the playoffs. And I've almost come to terms with that, and I very, very much hope that this team proves me wrong heading to the playoffs. But when we're looking at it right now, it seems like a trade is imminent, but it's probably not the one we're looking for. It could be looking for one of, many, many trades for someone on this Boston Bruins team leaving the team. And I do want to pull up this screenshot as well of Pierre LeBrun, kind of tweeting and said, JT Miller has asked for a waive his no move clause for a trade to the New York Rangers. The answer was yes, and this was earlier before the trade happened, but the source was yes, he did get traded to the New York Rangers. Philip Hedl, a protected first-round pick, whatever it is, and someone else. But going back to the Islanders, they got quite a deal and quite a package, and ultimately won this trade, in my opinion. But we knew that either Elias Pettersson or JT Miller were going to get traded. Both, potentially, but we knew at least one. There was reported beef between the two. Don't know if that actually came into anything, but it was enough to make a trade happen earlier than a lot of people expected. But as JT Miller is now off the list, so is Elias Pettersson, reportedly. Now, nothing is done yet, and I will get into that screenshot in a minute, but as we look through this, the lines here, and it actually pains me to pull this up and look at these lines and say, yeah, this is the lines for the Boston Bruins, the NHL team, the Boston Bruins, not the Providence Bruins. This is a sickening look, and down the middle is really not great. Pavel Zacha, your number one center. Elias Lindholm making 7.75 at the second line center. Not great. Pavel Zacha, I said first line winger, I think. First line center, I should mean. And Matthew Poitras, third line center, who ultimately will be playing a bigger role on this team, but right now, still young, still a lot of game to improve, but John Beecher on the fourth line center. That is really a big issue for this team. Now, there's many, many issues with this team, but we know that the centermen are not deep. That's what we're looking for in the offseason. Same thing as last year. It's the same story over and over. Now, we get another one, but is it even better? Probably not. No, it's not really. But we're looking at this as well. Elias Pettersson certainly is an option for the Boston Bruins. And of this list right here, he'd probably be the only one I would actually consider. Still very young, still putting up points. Now, having a down season nonetheless, but so are the Vancouver Canucks. And we know that he's just a much better player than what he is playing right now. And really, of the group, JT Miller, he's going to be 37, I believe, by the time his contract expires. Brock Nelson's on the older side, more of a defensive player, I guess, mainly because of his time on the Islanders. Certainly could be a better offensive player, but they don't give him the chance. And the Kraken, Yanni Gourde, as I mentioned, out 5 to 7 weeks, would have zero help in the Boston Bruins unless they traded for him and then went and traded him before the deadline. And realistically, that would just be too much of a hassle. So looking at Elias Pettersson as the only option creates much controversy and much news surrounding this team that of the group of players that were originally listed, one of them is an option. And according to this report right here, a team to talk about, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and it's not so surprising because they have a massive salary cap space on trading for Elias Pettersson. That's what Pierre LeBrun explained on Insider Trading. So as the Canucks make their rounds, talking to both teams on JT Miller and Pettersson, as I mentioned, this was a few days ago, so now JT Miller's off the list. And like I said earlier, once a big trade happens, things go down, things come quick, and although the Canucks may not be in a rush, the Blue Jackets may be in trying to push this trade. But the conversations, the Blue Jackets are on Pettersson, are in on him and looking to actively get him. Someone told me this the other day. I thought they were lying. I called them a liar to their face, and ultimately, I was wrong. So when we're looking at this, you never know what's going to happen now, but this just goes to show, but as the Boston Bruins are in the situation right now, as they're in the, out of the wild card at the time of recording this video, and other teams around them try to build, things are only going to get worse for the Boston Bruins. First of all, if they can't acquire anybody to make that team better. And second of all, if they start selling to make the team worse, there's really no bonus in this at all for the Boston Bruins. And the way that things have been playing out, the way that the games have been playing out lately, it just seems like this team has no drive to actually win these games. We've seen Brad Marchand be very disappointed in the team, be very disappointed in all the talks, and I will have a video later today coming out about Brad Marchand, what he is going to, well, actually later today or tomorrow, coming up Brad Marchand, kind of discussing the trade and after the game against the Winnipeg Jets, his reaction to it. So stick around for that, hit the sub button. But ultimately, looking at Elias Pettersson, looking at this team, looking at the way it's going to be built, it really is, of the top trade targets, Elias Pettersson or bust. And the way that it comes down to it, not very good for the Boston Bruins right now. And as I mentioned, out of the wild card, the Boston Bruins are below the Columbus Blue Jackets. Below the Columbus Blue Jackets. You heard me right. Looking at Columbus's team the past few years, I never would have thought I would be saying that. But, of course, Tampa, Columbus in 1 and 2 wildcard spots. Boston out of 3, but ultimately it's still a point until they can get in and be back there. So a lot of moving around, a lot of moving parts, but as these teams get better, it only seems like the Boston Bruins are getting worse, and that, of course, doesn't help you get into the playoffs for those who are new to hockey. But, ultimately, the Bruins have to make a move soon, whether or not it is starting to sell, whether that is going to buy. Something has to be done soon because we know that Cam Neely, we know that Don Sweeney aren't really the most on the ball. I don't know if that's even a quote. That's a Newfoundland term for doing stuff as quick as they can. I don't know if that's known elsewhere, but they're not very quick at making moves compared to other teams. So it is going to be well interesting to see if things are done, if things are going to be done, if moving pieces are going to happen, and what's going to happen with this Boston Bruins team. But let me know what you think is going to happen. You think we're going to Elias Pettersson, and we're not, but do you think we have any optimism of doing it? Do you think we're going to be buying? Do you think we're going to be selling? There's a lot of rumors and a lot of news going around the Boston Bruins, none of which is heading in our favor. So let me know what you think, but that's all I got for this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. And remember, we're on the road to 6K. We're almost at it, and your support's been absolutely incredible lately. I do appreciate everybody watching this video right now in this very trying times for Bruins fans. But like I said, that's all I got. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. But I'm signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.